Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews of books from the Overflow Room Annex, also known as the other half of the basement, where the Overflow Room is. There was the redesigned half of the basement, and then where all the hardcore plumbing equipment and stuff is. That's why the roof here is unfinished. Anyway, the bottom line is we are stuffed with books on music, and we're going to just talk about a few of them just to let you know what exists, what's out there, what we've been reading, what I was reading, what resources there are for those of you who have to study things. And I suppose we'll be doing this for about the next 500 years. I mean, if we start going through scores, I'll be dead and buried well before we're done. Anyway, let's just talk about three, because we're doing these in threes. First, I have a multi-volume edition, 2 volumes, of Mendelssohn documents. This is really fascinating, from letters and journals by the Mendelssohn family from 1729 to 1847. So it goes way, way, way back, including a lot of the correspondence between Mendelssohn and his sister Fanny. It's really interesting stuff. It was put together by Sebastian Hensel, who was Felix's nephew. And he originally intended this work, it says here, to be not only of the family, but for the family, drawing on letters and diaries. Persuaded by friends to publish his narrative in 1879, Hensel provides a first-hand insight into the lives of his uncle and Felix's beloved sister Fanny. Translated from the German, revised second edition by Felix's close friend, the diplomat Karl Klingemann. This 1881 2-volume collection made available for the first time in English a great deal of valuable source material. It's really quite extraordinary. Wonderful primary source stuff if you're interested in Mendelssohn and the family, and a fascinating family they were, beginning with, Moses Mendelssohn, the great Jewish scholar, and then they became a wealthy banking family, and they were at the center of Berlin culture for many, many years. Really quite something to look into. Next, yes, this is really interesting too. Matthew Riley and Anthony D. Smith, Nation and Classical Music, from Handel to Copland. Essays on nationalism and music, a topic that really concerns all of us, and really should, because it's really fascinating. Let me tell you what's in here. Let's see, Nation and Classical Music. Music in the national community, from monarchs to citizens, folk music into art music, the music of the homeland, myths and memories of the nation, the music of commemoration, and the canonization of national music. That's really what's interesting to me. The canonization of national music. How does something become classical? How do pieces come to represent the soul of the nation, of the people? It's a very, very interesting intellectual study that's compressed into a rather small space. It's quite readable. And so that was fun. And then, last but not least, this is one of the major works of intellectual history about the period that I did my first master's thesis in, so I was really into this. Karl Schorske's Fin-de-Siècle Vienna, 7 studies. This is amazing. I love this book. Oh God, it's so fabulous. It's a cultural history, an intellectual history about Vienna at the turn of the 20th century, how the civilization was on the one hand decaying, and on the other hand giving birth to fabulous art and a whole new aesthetic, and just incredible stuff. The essays are, let us see here, there's all kinds of fabulous stuff in here. Politics and the Psyche, Schnitzler and Hofmannsthal. Hofmannsthal, of course, was Strauss's favorite librettist. The Ringstrasse, its critics and the birth of urban modernism. This is an essay about architecture and the building of the Ringstrasse in Vienna, with all the major buildings that adorn it. Politics in a New Key, an Austrian trio, 3 different important figures in Austrian political history. Gustav Klimt, Painting in the Crisis of the Liberal Ego. Klimt's The Vienna Secession and his gorgeous, gorgeous gold bedazzled paintings. The sort of the essence of Fin-de-Siècle sensuality and decadence. Remember, he did that great painting of Salome. Woo, baby! The Transformation of the Garden and the Explosion in the Garden. Kokoschka and Schoenberg. The Birth of Expressionism. Oh my God, it's too juicy for words. There it is. Karl Schorske, Fin-de-Siècle Vienna. If you want to impress your friends with how smart you are, you got to read this. But seriously, when I was studying for my master's and whatnot, and this was one of the sort of seminal texts. It was sort of new back then. And when was this published? Let me just take a look. Let me just check the date. Here we go. Let's see, 61, 67, 73, 79 was the last republication. That's when we got a hold of it. And I was doing my research in 82, 83. So at Johns Hopkins in German history. And Schorske was a god. And rightly so. The wonderful thing about this book, actually, is that you can read any of the essays individually. You don't have to read it in a linear fashion. And they are, unlike so much German academic writing, they're so readable. I mean, enjoyably readable and fascinating and full of insight and intelligent observation. And the verbs don't all come at the end of the sentence, even in English. So that's a book that you really got to know. And I recommend it very, very strongly. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.